Hello, good morning everyone. And today we are going to be talking about something that I learned through a book and something that I learned when I was a psychology minor in my first or second semester. Anyways, so in today's video we will be talking about some psychological biases that might affect not only your financial or money life but also your life in general. And knowing these can just help you become more wiser with your money and with the choices you make in general. So let's get right into the video. So the first bias that we're going to be talking about is the recency bias. So the recency bias basically talks about how if something has happened recently, you think that it's more likely to continue happening that way. So for example, if you see on the news that recently this stock is going upwards or recently crypto is booming, you are more likely to think that okay, so if I invest in crypto today, it's gonna boom tomorrow, it's gonna also boom the day after, it's also gonna boom the week after, right? So this is the recency bias, and basically be aware of it, especially when you're making any investment choices or any monetary decisions, because if you think that today a share is going up, it's not a certain condition, or it's not necessary that it's gonna go up tomorrow as well, because shares, crypto, these are all very volatile things and they can always change. So make sure to be informed before you fall prey to the recency bias. Second bias that I'm going to be talking about is the overconfidence bias. The overconfidence bias basically just talks about how sometimes we become just overconfident with things and we tend to make the wrong choices. And it's not wrong to be overconfident, like, it's not wrong to be confident, but it's wrong to be overconfident, especially when you're not an expert on the subject. For example, if I am someone who is a new investor, I don't know anything about investing, I don't know anything about saving, and I am just going into the market and I see this one share called Zamarium, for example, and I feel that okay, so this stock is actually doing really well right now. I check the returns. So since the past 3 days, the returns have been going up 20%, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I tell to all my friends, I'm like, this stock is gonna go up. I'm gonna invest there, and I don't know anything about investing. I don't know anything about how to analyze a stock, and I'm just gonna go and invest. 99% of the time, I'm gonna be wrong, and it's gonna fall down tomorrow. So, if you are not a subject matter expert on something, you should be wise enough to seek help or advice or get advice from someone rather than fall prey to the overconfidence bias. This not only happens to all the common people, also a lot of people who are like super rich, super multi-millionaires, like even Bill Gates with Segway. Segway was actually, thought to revolutionize the way people walk and the transportation business in general, but it was a flop, it was a failure. And that was just a mistake that he made. And this just proves that each one of us make a mistake. And whenever we do, and rather than making us feel guilty about it, let's just move on. And being aware of these biases can help you move on faster, and whenever you fall prey to these biases, it can help you identify that okay, this might not be my conscious thinking, this might be a biased thinking, right? Okay, moving on to the next one is the Diderot effect. I have no idea how to pronounce this correctly, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's the Diderot effect. Basically, the Diderot effect says that if you spend on one thing, you're more likely to spend on other things. For example, let me give an example. You have a room. You have a room, and you think that you really want to buy a new chair for the room. Okay, you go to IKEA, you buy a new chair, you take it, you place it in the room. Now suddenly, everything else looks much more older than it was. The new chair is shining, and you think everything else is just not, and you need to replace everything as well. So what do? You go out, you buy a new table, you get a new cupboard, you get a new bed, you get a new frame, you basically renovate your whole room. And this is something that happens to a lot of people, because it's basically like when you do one thing that actually makes you look, it even happens for your personal appearance. So if I get a haircut and I feel like, okay, I look really good right now, but just my nails, if I could get my nails done, I would look so much more better. Then I go and get my nails done, and this just like entices you to spend a lot more than you actually need. So be aware, buy what you really need, do what you really have to, and don't spend like crazy. Moving on to the next, which is, this is not a psychological bias, it's just a situation that happens, especially when you're very emotional or when you're going through something hard, you're going through a hard time in your life. That's called an emotional spree. So basically, what happens is that sometimes, for example, if you've lost a loved one or if you've broken up with someone recently, you are more likely to spend a lot of money in taking care of yourself, in making yourself feel just much more better in that moment. And this is always short term, it's just a distraction for you to not feel the way you are feeling, and it's not something that is helpful. You're gonna end up sad and you're also gonna end up broke. So much rather not do that. So basically, for example, if I lost someone who was very dear to me, and I got some money from their estate, I got 100,000 from their estate, I'm rich now, right? But I'll spend that 100,000 renovating my house, buying stuff that I don't need, and ultimately I'll spend everything that I had, and still then I will not be satisfied, because all these things will give me temporary happiness in the moment, but after that I would have to face the problem. So this is called the emotional spree effect. And basically, just be conscious. If you're going through a hard time, it's much more easier to get out of control. But remember that buying more stuff or spending your money is not gonna help you come out of that trauma, right? Now, moving on to the next one, which is known as the bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect, as the name suggests, is just basically you hopping on a bandwagon. It's basically, if everyone else is doing this, I'm also gonna do it. And this happens, we all know this happens to us. We all know that this is something that is very common. If you are in a friend group, you have 3 friends, and all 3 of them are buying something new. They're buying clothes, they're buying cars, they're buying a new house. You are also more likely to buy something because you feel left out. You feel like, okay, I am not joining in and I need to. And so be aware of this effect, because it might be that if you're in a friend group where a lot of rich people are there and your financial condition right now is not as healthy as theirs, you don't have to jump on the bandwagon. You can stay outside, and you can notice that this effect is taking place now. So this is called the bandwagon effect. And I just wanted to share a quote with you from the book Rich Girl Broke Girl by Kelly King, and I just want to chime in. So the quote goes, where you are on your financial path, money is right there with you. You can't escape it. That is all for today's video. We talked about a few psychological biases today. I hope you liked this video, and if you do, give it a big thumbs up.